It's Chris Morrell from the PlayStation blog. I'm here behind the scenes at Gamescom Cologne. This is Chris Kramer. Right now, we're talking, obviously, Lost Planet 2 running on PS3. Chris, what are you guys showing new here at Cologne?
We're showing a couple of different news sections of Lost Planet. One of the things you see behind us is a demo we've been showing for a while. It's become very popular. It's the big fight against the G salamander. But we're also showing off a new jungle stage, kind of giving people a taste of how combat works in a more traditional Lost Planet style environment.
Right, and so take us through the demo. I mean, it's a pretty long demo, right?
So it's really geared towards getting people together and focusing on the co-op aspect of the game, because that's the secret sauce with Lost Planet 2. So it's the idea is getting the 4 people in, jumping in, and running around this environment. It's essentially like a little mini arena where this gigantic acrid, the salamander acrid boss, kind of comes out of the water like Godzilla. And then begins stomping around this sort of circular environment. So it's up to the 4 players to start grabbing weapons and grabbing rocket launchers and VS suits and just going to town, taking the thing apart.
Yeah, and I just played it, and it's pretty tough, but I mean, the game is absolutely gorgeous. A couple hours ago, I tweeted out to some of our fans if they had some questions about the game, and a couple of people wanted to know about the bosses. I mean, are they still very strategic in Lost Planet 2?
Yeah, Capcom bosses always sort of, have their ways. They've got their patterns and their weak points, and you got to discover them. The salamander is a perfect example of that. So he has a number of weak points. He has a number of different kind of attacks and patterns and stuff. What you'll see is you could shoot out the salamander's knees. His knees are weak, and you can actually trim off a couple legs that'll eventually end up regrowing. One of his biggest weak points is right on the top of his body. There's this huge glowing orange spike. You can shoot that and do huge damage. What happens is every time you do damage to that spike, it drives it down a little bit further and further. So when you do enough damage there, it's actually kind of inverted into the body. Then you can actually be swallowed by the salamander, kind of fight your way through the esophagus and start shooting at the spike inside the body to drive it right back up. So, there's actually a whole strategy about getting 2 guys on the outside, firing down at the spike, and then sending 2 guys on the inside and bringing it back up and just kind of keep jackhammering it up and down.
It's basically just like a futuristic Moby Dick, right?
Exactly.
Another question, people. Obviously, I got to ask you about the demo. Are we going to see a demo for PS3 at all?
Unfortunately, I can't really talk about a PS3 demo right now.
But we do know, as we talked last time we talked to you, Lost Planet 2 is coming day and date for PS3, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's coming, and it'll be out next year. And it's a great game. It's a great looking game, like you talked about. I know on the PS3 side, with the original Lost Planet, people were a little concerned about the quality of the graphics. That was one of Capcom's first PS3 games. Since then, we've definitely got a lock on the system. If you look at games like Street Fighter 4 and definitely, if you look at Resident Evil 5, you can see that Capcom's really kind of come to grips with the abilities of the platform. Now, the thing for PS3 owners to note, with Lost Planet 2, we're actually working on technology that was designed specifically for multi-platform use and, hyped up and ready for the PlayStation 3 as an engine. So if you can remember how good Resident Evil 5 looked on the PlayStation 3, Resident Evil 5 was running on Capcom's own internal 3D engine called MT Framework. So that was Resident Evil 5 was essentially like the 1.5 version of that engine. Lost Planet 2 is running on MT Framework 2. So the engine has been rebuilt and made stronger and bigger. You can see the results in the graphics immediately. I mean, the game is gorgeous, and the guys are doing some really amazing tech stuff.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. As I was playing, I noticed especially the jungle scenes. I mean, with the lush grass, it's really beautiful. They really have a hold on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can see light sources coming through, and numbers of different things in the environment are self-shadowing. So you kind of get this real dappled movement effect, especially in the grass and the bushes and stuff like that. It's really intense. You remember in the old days, trees were always like X's. You get out in the jungle in Lost Planet 2 and they're full foliage. It's pretty cool. So you've got these acrid erupting out of these bushes and coming over the hills and stuff, and you can't see them coming. So it can get a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and we got another tweet in about curious about the length of the campaign.
Yeah, the single-player campaign will be at least the length of the original Lost Planet. Of course, the big change for us is the 4-player co-op focus. So that's really, it's going to be much like how Resident Evil 5 you could play through by yourself, but really the best way to play it was with a buddy. So ideally, you know, you're going to form a squad of friends, and your friends are going to be wanting to go through the game. One of the interesting things is that there are ways to subtly change the way events are unfolding within a level. So you might have an environment where you can push a rock down on top of like, you know, some acrid, but if you push that rock, it might block a different path. So, you know, the next time you come through, if nobody rolls that rock, there might be an opening there. So it's just like an example. So there are ways for the users to kind of change their flow through the structure of the storyline.
Sounds awesome. So as we're staring at the Gamescom demo right now, do you have a favorite part? I mean, it's pretty epic as I played through it.
I really, really like what they've done with the new VS suits. They have a number of VS in this demo for people to see. We've got one of the new ones here that's kind of one of the faster, lighter ones. One of the interesting things they've done is they've made almost all the VSs are multiple riders. So you got one person riding a single VS, two other guys can actually grapple on and attach and form like this mobile armored assault squad. Later on, you're going to find VS suits that actually have seats for up to 3 players. So you get you know, one guy in the middle driving and 2 guys on pods on either sides running like swivel-mounted machine guns. It's really awesome. So
sweet. Well, that's Lost Planet 2. Chris, thank you so much. I know we're going to see a lot more from Lost Planet in the future.
Oh yeah, a lot more.